of fun because we don't know.
I started the recording, Gene.
Okay, hey, good evening, everybody. Like I say, technology is fun. We're having lots of fun, and uh, yeah, okay, it is the middle one because the other one says offline. So I'm just gonna, just let that go for right now. I'm not gonna even mess with it. Hey, good evening. It's the Sunday night webinar. It's April 29th. And you can see our numbers up there. And I'm Gene Colbago.
And I am Roger Carroll.
And we're glad you're here. And we hope we have a few interesting things for you tonight. To begin with, I was just talking, Raj, to Dave about what you had mentioned in your text before. So do you want to start off with that, maybe?
You're going to have to refresh me more than that.
You and Dave and collaboration. And he had
Well,
talked about.
yes.
Oh, let me.
Why, sure. We can.
Yeah, you know what I was. Okay, do you? You sent me a
I'm
text of.
assuming I do. We'll see.
I muted myself there, but I think before Roger got on, Dean and I were talking about two things. One was the shared document that we had used in the professional development that Ronnie McGrath did on Monday, which was through Office 365, and then I was also talking about the continuation of the work that we've been doing with my students on Thursday.
Well, what's the most logical procedure here? What do we want to talk about first?
I'm open to either. I can.
Well, why don't we go and give you the screen, David? David's going to talk. We've got a lot of collaboration going on here.
We'll be back at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll spend an hour. A lot going on in the district. We've been working together on some things, and then just as practically a week ago on Monday, there was a district-wide professional development, and Dave's going to share with us what went on there in this broader picture of what we're all doing and hoping to accomplish by way of Office 365 and what we can do with that. Then we'll come back and share some more things with what he and I have been doing in particular. All right, David?
And we have your Dave, your screen is showing.
We have your screen.
All right.
So, right.
My Hyde Park background there, homage to my school.
That's what it is.
So I'll go in through here, and I have a shortcut for my Office 365 login, which, by the way, you can do just by hitting the star when you're on Google Chrome. I don't know why it took me a while to learn that, but I think I used Internet Explorer for a while, and then every browser does their own things a little bit differently. But so when I click there, this goes right into my my Office 365, and I'm already logged in. But anyways, on Monday, the primary elementary teachers, kindergarten, first and second grade, had staff develop. Well, actually, it might have only been first and second grade. We had staff development while our third through eighth grade colleagues were correcting state exams. And one of the presentations, which was on the new science standards, new state science standards, was run by Ronnie McGrath, the district's science coordinator. And she had a OneNote document, actually you can see it right down here, that she shared with everyone that attended that PD. And the idea was that we discussed the new standards, and we were looking for phenomena, as this is titled here, different events that we can use to sort of bridge to the standards that we're teaching. And so we kind of divided those standards up, and we're each adding content to a different standard. So I'll open that file so you can see what it looked like. And if you go over to where it gives the name of the workshop that we were in, Ronnie created a tab for each of the grade levels that had a professional development. So I was in second grade here. And on this page, each of the places where there's an exclamation point is a place where someone could add content. Now there were 12 of us in the PD, but 4 of us were actually on have used Office 365 before. So when we got on Office 365, we were able to locate the OneNote. But all of us at the same time, we were working on adding things for example, for this science standard, use information from several sources to provide evidence of Earth events or quickly or slowly. This was a YouTube video one of my colleagues found about volcanoes and earthquakes, and it tied it to the story of the 3 little pigs. But she was embedding that content, and while she was working on that, I was adding content to this standard, compare multiple solutions designed to slow and prevent wind or water from changing the shape of the land. So I was adding some web pages there that were links, and then someone else was adding links here for this standard, and someone else was adding links here about Niagara Falls. And it was a really useful, it was a useful way to use the time in the PD because we were all contributing something individually, but as people were adding content to this document, you could see it appear, and you could kind of stop and look at it or view the video. It was just a really, I thought it was a great use of Office 365 and OneNote in particular as sort of a collaboration document. And then, of course, we can continue. We could add things to this even after the PD is over, and you maintain your connection to this document so you can always go and refer back to it whenever you need to, like I opened it tonight. So that's just one example of how Office 365 and OneNote can be used. And I believe Ronnie's, I don't think she's one of the attendees tonight, but I believe all she had to do was create this document, type in the standards or upload them from somewhere, and then share them with the list of teachers that she knew was going to be at the professional development. And so
Exactly right.
Yeah, and grade 1 also had access to that. It was a half-day PD. Grade 1 was in the morning, I think, and second grade was in the afternoon. So they did the same thing, and you can see some hyperlinks where they added content to their standards as well. So kind of just a nice use for that platform. And then on the Thursday, and I know Roger's going to show some more of what students can do with this, but I'm just going to close out of this OneNote here and go back home.
Dave, before you go there, can you talk a little bit about what you were telling me about how there were people in the room who some had some familiarity, etc.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think, for myself, I attend the webinars all the time, so I have kind of an interest in trying these things out. But even with it, it took a little while for me to get signed in. And so since Roger and I have been using it this year, I'm using it more and more. And I showed the 2 colleagues that I teach with how to get online with Office 365, and it only took a few minutes. But they were already ready to do that at school. And then we were at a table with another colleague who had never used it before. And it only took, 5 minutes for us to show her how to get on using her, either her email address or her computer login, if that happened to be different, with @nfschools.net. And the same password that you have when you turn on your computer from the lock screen. So it was actually pretty quick to get to show someone how to get on. So I think maybe the next time that this is used in a PD, that should be maybe just that 5 or 10 minutes to get people on is the thing that gets people to continue using it. So.
And that what we're looking at there that Ronnie created, the OneNote class notebook, that screen that we're looking at is a default screen for any class notebook that's created. You get that brief introduction, a link to a video, and some of these things, just kind of as a general introduction to
Right.
the notebook environment, which is nice and comforting that you can pick up quite a bit here as well, and explains about student notebooks and that collaboration space and the content library, as you can see here. Like some of these documents, when you get there, you'll be moving in and out of these pages and areas on your class notebook, whether it's created through something called Office Teams or straight into the notebook here. So it's got some really nice features. And in fact, if you look at the student training there on that page, there's some really nice links to some help there. They're not 2018, but they still cover essentially what's going on here with OneNote, and that's some good stuff.
Yeah, and I think if you think of this as a notebook, as a physical, real notebook with tabs, what you're seeing is this welcome tab. So when you're clicked here, all of this content is default. I think that's the content that you're talking about, right, Roger? So whenever you create a OneNote that you share with somebody, then I think this welcome tab appears. And so any of the content that you add to your OneNote, you decide what these tabs here say, and then if there are these are actually pages, right? I think I got that right. So this is sort of the tab.
Pages
this is
are
the page. Right, and so all of these pages are, specific to whatever content you want to put into them.
They call them sections, like you are saying, like a general 3-ring real physical notebook are tabbed sections, and then within that, obviously, are any number of pages and any number of sections if you really want it to do that. I'm learning where my limits are with that. And I think if you go up to the welcome tab, to the welcome section, I think if you right click there in the tab itself, I think you can get rid of that. If you're working with the students, yes, you can eliminate a section that is not applicable any longer.
And interestingly, you can add new sections too. I mean, you could add it once this document is shared. It's a completely collaborative document. So I think Ronnie created it, but anyone who it was shared with could add a tab or add new information to it, which I think is the nature of sort of having a shared document.
Right. And I think within that you grant that privilege to either edit, but that goes into that content library. But there's a lot to learn here, but it really is straightforward. You think of a 3-ring binder, you open the rings and add stuff to any section and so on. Yeah.
And I've had some success even with these pages. I mean, I think it would appear like that somebody is either typing or cutting and pasting here, but you can import, say, a PDF content as a page that someone can view. So I've had some success doing that using Journeys materials I'm starting to get ready for next year and figuring out what things I want to put in OneNote, and I'm experimenting with the program comes with a lot of downloadable resources from their own website. So it's a very easy step to just take that PDF and import that content as a page.
Right. Anywhere when you click on Insert there at the top, let's say we're on the Exploring Phenomena page. If you go up to the Insert tab in the toolbar, the top there, here are your options for inserting. All kinds of things.
A new page, a new tab. Yep. So all of that is
very powerful.
Yep, definitely. And then, so I think the other thing that Roger's going to show, and I think after I give the introduction here, I'll hand it back to you, right? Because I continued. We showed this last week on the webinar, but my students are working on making kind of reports using a template that was provided through a district resource that we have called MeQuest. I don't use the MeQuest site per se, but I did like the template that they created for a nonfiction sort of report. So my students started adding content to that, and one as an example here. And so this week, different from last week, they all wrote about flamingos because it would happen to be the content of Scholastic News that week. And this week they were allowed to select their own topics. So I had them choose a topic where they could find a primary resource in the classroom. So most of them chose a topic where they could find a book from my classroom or an old Scholastic. And they read that and had to put the content into their own words, kind of on a scrap sheet of paper. And then they transferred that information that they learned to this template. And then this is kind of a finished product. This is a pretty good one, actually. He had the chance to do more than one page. And you can see that it's kind of finished by, he added color and some of the things that dress up the content a little bit more, but he was able to import pictures that match the text. So most of the students were able to finish the day, and they started that day when Roger came to the classroom. They started that day already having done some of the research and gathered some of the information that they wanted to put into that. So this day was sort of spent getting that information into PowerPoint and adding photographs, adding some of these other features that come with PowerPoint, like the design tab and the transitions tab. Some of them were able to work on too, because we actually looked at these as a class on the smartboard in the class. So when students told me they were done, I could easily open up theirs because I have them numbered. They have a student number in my classroom that I use, and it was easy to find theirs. I could put theirs up when they finished it. Other students could look at it. And it's a pretty, that in itself too is a pretty powerful way. Even though they're not seeing each other's on their own computer screen, they can kind of look up and get an idea of some other things that they can do or try out in PowerPoint by looking at their classmates' work on the smartboard as it gets put up. And so that's where we ended Thursday, with most students having completed a PowerPoint. And so I think
roughly about an hour's time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. And with some introductions, because they're still in second grade, they're still learning a lot of I still wanted to explain some of the things that they could experiment with. And Roger and I had an interesting discussion about how within PowerPoint, and this might be a good segue for what you're going to do next, right? Within PowerPoint, there's a lot of different tabs and a lot of things for them to look at, and that's a good thing, but it can also be a problem because you can kind of put on a rabbit hole. And for example, I think at the beginning of that lesson, and Roger can back me up on this one, but I think we talked about transitions and things. I realized that they had to focus on getting the words and the content in first, and some of them wanted to right away play around with design and
one little fellow, he got into the animations when he was doing the morphing with the text.
Right.
To a pretty impressive, engaging. Like the kids were kind of like in awe of that when his classmates saw that.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, they were really good about circulating and sharing things that they learned with each other, and all of that was great. But as you can see, each of these tabs within PowerPoint, a lot of options within it. And so I think that segues into something that Roger would show. I shared one of the students' work with him, and there's another program within Office 365 that you can use that I think is a little cleaner. Would you say, Roger?
Leaner, yeah, and less complex. And I think they each have a niche. I think tying this to some of the, say, technology standards and what we want students to understand about media presentation, taking a paper and pen resource and now making it more public and presenting it. There are a lot more options in both PowerPoint and the Sway that we're talking about. But when you look at that ribbon, I remember going back, I think it's to either PowerPoint 203 or 2000 when the ribbon was really bare bones, and that
Right.
in fact it wasn't even called a ribbon; it was just a toolbar, and all of that across the top. Seeing it for the first time, it just be mind-boggling. Where do you start? Where do you do this? Where do you do that? And all the additional things that it can do. And I think none of the students, were fazed by that. I think I was showing them how to view and pin the ribbon and how to the magic undo button, some of those things. But I think these are important skills, not in and of themselves precisely, but the can-do aspect of you can do anything to manipulate your message here.
Right.
The first time any of us saw PowerPoint, I think, I was having, machine gun and typewriter noises, flying text in from the right, the left, the top, the bottom, spinning around, doing all kinds of things just because I could. And then now we know, okay, we can do that, but we have to learn to, okay, we got to tone that down for our message.
Yeah, and it's funny that came up because a lot of them were really interested in getting a fun-looking background, and one student even showed the other ones how you can, with this design feature here, this one is selected here, so it sort of is an automatic format and it changes all of them. But you could upload an image or a photograph from the internet and have that be the background, as opposed to one of these defaults. And so when the students figured that out, they all tried that out. But some of them, I think I had to point it out to a few of them, some of them, the background clouded the text or made the text impossible to read. And so, we had to have a discussion about how a lot of these features make it look nicer, but you have to make sure that the content is still being delivered, because ultimately you want others to be able to read this so you can share what you learned in the topic that you research.
And I mentioned it to you at the time, I think every single one of these students was engaged. And
definitely.
And pretty proud of what they were doing. They all waving their hands for you to put theirs up next to show
it was
which is
terrific. Manage the time, but we got as many up there on the smartboard as we could, and that's that's kind of a motivator, knowing that people are going to look at your work. And I don't know if you caught it, but there were a couple I put up there where I was reading the text out loud to the students, and the student whose slide I was showing noticed a mistake. They're like, I gotta have to fix that. Like there's a conscientiousness about making sure the message that they're trying to deliver, or the information that they're trying to say to other students, is accurate, and
that really makes it more real.
Right.
Yeah. So super. I mean, It's been terrific, and I'm really, I shouldn't say surprised, pleased at how quickly the kids adapt and are willing to try stuff. And they're using some pretty sophisticated software and devices here quite naturally.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that one of the big payoffs too. There's certainly a payoff inherent in doing an activity like this, but I'm hoping to talk to my third grade colleagues next year and find out that they had an easier time transitioning to the electronic state tests that are going to be working their way through all the grades eventually.
Absolutely. So, and I think there will be, you have 22, 23 kids.
Right, 23.
That are going to be distributed among some third grades, and they're going to be looking for this.
Right.
Hey, we did it, let's get going.
Yes. Yeah. Creating some subtle pressure on my colleagues, right?
Yeah. Quite so.
So I think what might be useful too is so you had taken one of these and turned it into a Sway, is that right?
Yes. If that's a good transition here now, if we want to do.
So Yep, I'll change the presenter here. Let me see if I can do it. Yes.
There we
Let's see
go.
if that works.
And we should
Okay.
be looking at.
Yep.
Hey, Raj, we can leave. Dave knows everything.
You have no idea where I really am, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
One of the terms I've seen or heard referred to this when you sign into your 365 is here's your waffle. So I guess you could say, all right, it's got that. And then obviously you can look at all of your apps and go down to a number of the new things and so on. But I'm going back to my Sway. I don't think it's yes, it is running. So that's one of the options here, and it's a relatively new tool. It's kind of an amalgamation of well, it is a presentation tool, and it takes the general idea of PowerPoint, that is presenting an idea, presenting a message, but it doesn't have that all of those options that you do with PowerPoint. So I think we'd find where one is more appropriate to a task than another, and it just really depends on what that task might be. I've got Sway running up here. So if I click that, you'll go into your Sway. And because this is in Office 365 online, anything and everything that you do is automatically saved, much like if you're in any of the PowerPoint online, Word online, and so on. So you don't have to worry, as we pointed out, unfortunately, with the number of students, that's always been an issue. Oh, I forgot to save my work. Now we know we can set up within Word and some of the other programs, it's kind of like an automatic save thing, but this is behind the scenes all the time when you're working in an Office 365 online. So this is the Sway. And look, bare bones, very, very simple. We were looking at deleted, and we discovered that I haven't deleted any. Well, I haven't done all that many of them. But if you look at once you create a Sway, it would appear in My Sways, in edited, viewed, and deleted. So let's look at my edited Sways. Just from this week are two related to what Dave's been talking about. Or if you want to start from scratch, or this nice little feature here is start from a topic. Create new is a framework. I'll show you that briefly. And this is automatically going to start the Sway program. And these are dialog boxes, cards as you want. And every one, it starts with the basic one. This is your title of your Sway. And then you add to your title, you add a number of things and what they call, when you pile them all up, a stack, and so on. There's some unique language to that. I'm going to go back to, I want to go back to my Sways. Here we go. So there's the one I just started right here. It saved it automatically, even though there is zero content. If you want to start a brand new topic, now Dave, within his class, the topics evolved in here. He was using a Scholastic reading passage from a week ago, all about flamingos, and he demonstrated a number of things, how you're going from the material and so on, to the students then coming over and choosing their own area of research. Be it different animals. Some had snakes, some had pandas, some had alligators, some had all kinds of, whatever they found of interest there. If you want to start a Sway from a topic, you don't know your topic. You're brainstorming, or a group of students brainstorm a topic that they're sharing, or each a different topic. You would type this in here. I'm going to just take the let's just say we'll say dinosaur, and then create an outline. Well, watch what happens if we're going to write about dinosaurs, or that's a topic I'm interested in. I'm going to create an outline, And Sway is using some intelligence to find and search for information about dinosaurs. And no, I don't know if you can see this here. It says we've added hints through this Sway to help you get started. If you don't want hints, you can close all of them at once. So you can do that here. Or, let's see what those hints are. It automatically input graphics. Here is a text card, and here's some information about dinosaurs, and so on, all the way through. This is starting from the absolute scratch, where now that's going to save that. Notice here, it's already saved my dinosaurs. Start from a topic, so you're going to give it the topic. This might be something you want to present a list of topics that kids can choose from, or generate them themselves, and so on. Over here, start from a document. The document that Dave and I have been talking about is a PowerPoint. So if we start from a document, it will take you out to a saved location. And if you want to pick a PowerPoint, somewhere in here, it might be in my, I even have a folder already, I think, for grade 2. So one of these, a trading cards rubric, that's what we talked about. And so you would pick the PowerPoint. Let's see if I can find a better one here, just so you'll see it. One of my favorites here. This is a PowerPoint I created on something called the SAMR view of looking at how well technology is integrated. So let's look at that. So I'm going to say open that. Sway now takes over, looks at that PowerPoint, and is pulling in the slides from that PowerPoint so that I can then start working on it in my own version of this Sway. It brought in images, some text, all the way through. This is from a PowerPoint that you'll just have to take my word for it that it is. I could bore you with that. But and so then without having done anything, now you can, this is like a prompt. What kind of a background do you want to put in here? If I say add background image, notice what happens. It opens up a search box over here, and I can search on the SAMR term. And here are a number of options it brings back. I'll say I'll pick that one. So I'll add that. It brings it over into the start on the stack and so on. And you have a whole lot of other very simple. Look at the toolbar. Where is that ribbon? This is it. When you go into any one of these boxes to edit, I get a couple of options here. If I want to add some more content, I click here, images and so on. And if I want to, I want to show this. And now what it's going to do is scroll through all of those slides that I had imported from my PowerPoint. Now, this is without any editing, any massaging, any kind of cleaning up that you might want to do. But it brought it all in pretty clean. And you can go and, I want to go back to my Sway. Go back into the edit mode and so on. So this is a very nice, simple little, how to say, I don't want to oversimplify because it has some pretty dramatic effects, and you have a whole lot of control over what you might want it to look like. You can do some things with the palette. You can show where do you want the text to appear. You can customize some of the themes that Dave pointed out are customizable within PowerPoint. So it changed this to a very subtle background. I don't know if you can see that. I'll change it again. You can do all kinds of things with the text. It picks a font. So when you make these choices, there are some defaults that these choices bring along with you, which are kind of neat as well. And the nice thing also is that once you have completed your sway, I'm going to go back here. They are, let's go to the one that I worked on with, this came from one of Dave's students that was on pandas. And it was a PowerPoint that Dave shared with me that I then subsequently imported into a sway here. And okay, I mean, we can play it. So it's showing the pictures, and there are some, some nice little transition effects here. I talked about 4 fast facts as the PowerPoint template referred to them. And the student found images and facts about the panda. I can go back in and edit it, but the nice thing is I can then share it with people in the group. This is where we can, I can put a link to it and send the link. I can actually embed it if I'm working with my class web page. We can do that as well. There's some additional options. If you wanted to, you want to really protect it, you can require that people to view it have to input a password. You could just copy the link. You could do it, send it out specifically to the Dave's class or your classroom if that's what you're doing with that, and so on. You have a couple of other display settings. You can change the layout. You can turn animations on and off. You could have the thing play automatically and loop continuously. You can determine here how long you want each, let's say, sway slide to appear in a number of seconds, and so on. Again, you can go back in and edit. So you can go back and forth quite a bit with until you get it right. But it's very simple. I worked with a teacher last year at 79th Street, and they were a group of 3rd graders, all of whom ultimately produced a sway, learning the tool. And they were going into sway. They kind of, I think, bypassed the PowerPoint option and went into working with the sway tool in Office 365. So that really is kind of neat. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the benefits might be, for just from an application standpoint, this reminds me of almost like a decision tree, right? They'll say,
Yes.
like, do you want a background? Yes or no. You do it or you don't. And here's where your title goes. What do you want to do next? Do you want to put in content? Do you want to put a picture? Do you want? Whereas in PowerPoint, you are, unless you're, if you're starting from scratch with PowerPoint, you would have to go and seek out the template you want and seek out the font and the background. And this is more guiding you by, by putting it right front and center within the application and saying, do you want to do this? Click here. It's kind of, it's nice. It's nice that way, in that it kind of guides you, and you don't have to. I think you don't have to seek out and find as much as you do when you're using PowerPoint.
I agree. And I think with a couple of kids, maybe we, just kind of as an experiment, maybe start off with sway.
Yeah.
Right.
And take your flamingo or your panda, and like we were doing here, showing it from a number of angles. But it's a simple tool. It's
now, can you turn your sway into a PowerPoint?
Well, good question. I have not tried to do that. I don't know what the well, I will be trying it, I assure you.
It would just be interesting to see, like, if you did do this in a classroom and you were having some kids, use sway and others use PowerPoint, and then it would be an interesting thing to have them swap. And
Dave, Raj, you had mentioned, Dave, that one of the nice things about the sway was kind of like you can use that outline starter. That
right.
that is also available in PowerPoint.
Yes, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can use that, and yeah, but that is a really good element for both of those. You know, and really helpful for the students. You know, who where do I go next? What do I do? It gives you a lot of good suggestions.
I just did a quick Google search, converting
Yeah.
a sway to PowerPoint in the Microsoft
Yeah.
community. So it looks like there is some support for that.
It says Sway stumbled. I just noticed. Yeah. So. Um,
Speaking of sway, because I am, here is a nice resource. It's called the Daily Sway. I have joined it, and every week there's about 2 updates. This should have been updated today, maybe updated tomorrow. And it just takes the whole Microsoft suite. This fella, Mike Tholfsen, if you follow anybody on Twitter related to Microsoft, he's the guy. He is the one who is responsible for developing the tool, the learning tools, and the immersive reader. But he has a big role to play in Microsoft education and everything that they're doing with it. And he puts out the Daily Sway that I keep checking almost daily to see, okay, what's new, what's out there, and what they're sharing and what the conversation is going in this area as well. Just trying to, can't say get ahead of it, but not be too far behind with what's developing in Microsoft. And as Gene, I think you're going to talk about shortly, what is going on with that. So unless there are any additional comments or questions, I want to, Gene, turn this back over to you. And then
we have a few minutes here. Well, we were.
I'm turning it to you.
Okay. I don't even know where I am. I don't even know who I am.
Will
Okay.
shortly. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let me get rid of this because we were showing that. Raj and I and Dave at the beginning of the class, we were just talking, and well, we really don't have time to go into this now, but is we've mentioned quite often that almost monthly, weekly, Microsoft does update Office 365, and the same way it updates your Windows 10. I think most of you probably have, if you have computers at home, the automatic updates are set on, and that, during the night, if your computer's on, you get these updates or whatever. But you should keep updated your Office 10 update. And I think it's tomorrow. Is that right, Raj? And thank you for that.
There's two things going on. The updates are frequent. Upgrades are not. I think tomorrow is a major upgraded Windows 10.
Major. Yeah, I think the last major one was fall of 2016, I believe, about a year ago. Yeah, and there's some really exciting things coming in this new major update. That doesn't mean that tomorrow your computer is going to say, hey, I'm going to do a major update, because what Microsoft does is they let it out bit by bit. The one update of a year ago, it took me several months before the one computer came in. There is a way of going in and getting it immediately, but it did take some time if you just wait. So it will come. And as I was talking to Dave, when Microsoft sends out an update, there are so many different computers out there with so many different configurations that things can get hung up. I know my computer has gotten hung up on an update.
Update or upgrade?
Upgrade, excuse me. Okay. Upgrade. I apologize. Thank you for that.
One's a small step for man, the other's a giant leap for mankind.
Well, thank you. An upgrade. I'm sorry. I'm thinking so much of what I'm trying to say, I'm not using the right word. But anyhow, I had to take it in and really have it worked on to get it to accept that that upgrade, because just the way I had my computer configured. So anyhow, this one will be coming out. Now, the reason I'm saying all that is to go backwards now, and boy, we're going to have to do this as an introduction. Way back in the fall upgrade, and that was about a year and a half ago, Microsoft added in and they call it an app called Photos. Roger has used it, and he alluded to it, month and a half ago on a video that he had made. And we have always kind of been using a little program, and I don't know if you can see it on my computer right here, called Movie Maker, okay? Well, Movie Maker is no longer available. In fact, if you go to try to download it, Microsoft will tell you we no longer support that. And if you try to download it from another site, you're probably not getting the true Movie Maker. So what they have done instead is they have combined a whole lot of different elements in this app called Photos, and you should have it on your computer. If you do not, you can go to the App Store and download it. Now, again, having said that, it's probably not available to download on your school computers. You can try, but it may not work. Now, mine is right here, okay? I've set it up so that you can see it. It's called Photos. Now, Photos, what it is and what it isn't. It is not a My Pictures where all the My Pictures are stored. It's more an app where you can work with your pictures, your images, your photos. You can edit them, you can create videos with them, you can create albums with them, you can do all sorts of things. I think we said a couple of weeks ago it was Microsoft's answer to Google Photos, and it does a lot of great things. And again, we only have about 10 minutes, so I'd just like to show you a few little things tonight about Photos, and maybe get you into wanting to go in there and just play around a little bit, and maybe you can you can learn a lot on your own. Yes, you can go to YouTube and look up Microsoft Photos and find some videos on it just as well. And also on my website, which I'm not going to go there now for lack of time, you can, I started putting up a little page dealing with Microsoft Photos and putting up a few resources, what it is, and a few resources about the photos and about the videos. Let's see how much we can get done tonight, Raj. Anyhow, Photos is this. Boy, it's not very much, is it? When you go there, first of all, it is not a collection of every photo or picture or image that is on your computer or elsewhere. You need to select where the pictures or that are supposedly from. You can do that by going to folders. You'll see folders right now across the top. These are the areas where I have selected my pictures, for want of a better term, photos, whatever, from. And to select others, over on the right, this three little dots is becoming the new icon, and click on Settings, and you'll see these are the sources for the photos. Only the photos from the sources you select will show up there. Okay, so you can choose which sources. If you just go to your computer now and look, there may be by default a number of sources that it has selected, but you can go in, and if you don't want them, let me go in here. If you just click on these X's, you can take those out and delete those as sources. Okay, now I'm going to go back to Photos. These are some of the photos. I'm going to click on Collection just to show you what can we do with these once we get some in here. I just put some photos in here to play with. photos, the first thing you can do is you can play with the photos, or you can, when I play, we can use the photos. It becomes an editing device, and it's fairly simple. You don't have to be an expert photo editor. I've just found this young lady's picture online. You can see that it doesn't, it has red eyes. Okay. Now, first of all, if we want, I could delete it or turn it or make it bigger up here. But up at the top right, you will find an edit and create. And if you click on this, you click on the edit, and you are given a number of options that you can work with. The first one is, making the picture look a little more clear. The top left is always the original if you wish to go back. Okay, you can brighten it up. If you wish, you can click on the enhance your photo, and just by the sliding bar, I don't know if you can see this, there are some subtle changes made. Okay, or you can bring in another picture. Let's take in a really a different one. And down below each one, I don't like that one, but down below you'll see another sliding bar where you can, oh, maybe that's not too bad. Okay, you can decide if you like that. Along with enhancing the photo to make it look better or whatever, and we'll show you that in another photo in a minute, you can do some adjustments. And some of the adjustments are really cool. Obviously, if you've ever taken pictures with a camera, and I think that's going away now with cameras on smartphones. You don't see the red eye quite as much, but with the other cameras and if you had flash, you have red eyes. But this has a red eye removal that is really phenomenal. Right here, click on this. You have a little blue spot and click on it. That's how easy it is to remove the red eye from it. Now, if you want, you can save a copy. Now, what's nice about the saving the copy, see if we go back here, you will notice now I have both the original and the edited copy. You're not overwriting the one copy in case you need to go back to the original, okay? All right, let me see if I can find another one here that I was looking for. Oh, golly, I probably can't because I want it. Oh, there it is. Hey, we got a picture of a couple of my friends in Florida. And you'll notice it's kind of dark. And we could click this edited. And I'm sorry, edit. I had something in the way. And again, pick one that, it's not too good, but the Sahara, wow, that's kind of bright. But if you take it down a little bit here, see, it looks a lot better. Now, it's a little too bright. It's brighter, but okay, we can go to the adjust. Now, adjust the clarity. And if you start adjusting the clarity, I don't know if you can see this, but how much clearer it becomes. You can work around with that. These are little enhancements that you can use to work with them. You're going to wonder, what is this vignette down below? And it's kind of a cool one. What it is it kind of makes a kind of a, I don't know, circle, and it kind of takes and shadows out the corners, like if you want to highlight the center of the picture. So you can dig it in more and more. Okay, also, there's a little thing here called Spot Fix. Spot Fix is not really great, but it will work to some extent. For example, I am not a big person who likes wearing clothes with advertisements on, so I, go over here. And now I've removed his Nike. Okay, you can do that. You can undo all of them and get back. It's a very easy way to work with your pictures. So, that's one of the things that you can do. And The second thing, let me just go back to my photos. Okay, I'm losing. I have things. Okay, there we go. What I wanted to do is, you'll find out. You'll notice up here it says albums and things. Those were not there a bit ago. It creates albums and so forth and so on. Okay, and by the way, your collection is presented in the day that it was either taken or put on the computer, you know, the date on the properties of the photograph. So, you know, you can go back, oh my golly, how many years I can go back on these albums. It kind of creates some of its own albums. I did not create this. It decided it had some of those pictures and it created some of those on its own. So you're going to find out it creates things on its own. One of the nicer things is if you put a large number of pictures in, and we're going to have to do the video part of it next week, Raj. When you put your photographs or whatever in there and click on people, it seems to go in and find people. Notice this is 2011. It has, that's my grandson, and has pictures all the way back to 2006. It has found images of him and it puts them together. It's kind of cool if you're looking for pictures of a certain person from a certain time. You know, the only thing that I did find out, let's see, where was that? I found out it made a mistake. It's not perfect, but it's pretty cool. Was it? Gee, where was it? I can't remember now. Anyhow, it does bring in pictures of, this is a young girl a long time ago. Down here, this is her a whole lot later, about 10 years. It's a phenomenal little thing for, you know, using in pictures. And one of the nicer things, and we just don't have time right now, is creating videos with it. And it's so incredibly simple, right, Raj? And we'll show you this next week because it takes all of 5 minutes or so. But what we do recommend is, you know, go to your apps, your programs, look and see if you have photos on it. If not, here, click on that, go to photos, see if you have photos there. And if you don't, go to the iTunes store, or the iTunes store. No. Why am I at the iTunes store? That's really cool. Anyhow, you can go to the Microsoft store and I see it's showing my, I'm sorry, I am right there, and type in photos. I got confused there. And it will bring back the little Microsoft Photos app that you need, and you can download it from there. Boy, that was about as fast as I could do that, Raj.
Well, I think we got a good taste of it. And
yeah,
you say,
well, that just, you know, like I say, go in and play with it. It's a lot of fun, and you know, I'd like to, you know, have gone into it at a lot more detail. We just didn't have the time tonight. And next week we'll take a look at videos with it, because they're incredibly easy to do, and they're really a lot of fun. And this might even work in with you know, with the kids too, if they have can collect videos online, you know, into a folder and then put them in photos and make a movie out of them. It adds music, it adds everything.
And it's that time of the year where, you know,
yeah,
thinking of closure, and a lot of classes do, you know, retrospect of the class year with PowerPoints and field trips and stuff. And there's another option for that with the photos here, and perhaps a sway.
Oh, sure.
And so on.
Yeah.
All those are available.
Those are good. Yeah, and they're great activities when you're saying, geez, what am I going to do? You know, the kids are need something different to do. This can really get them going. So anyhow, I know it's 9:01 and we're just about out of time, Raj. And thank you, Dave, very much. Hey, Dave, if you don't get everybody's going to get a thank you, but Dave might not.
Oh, he will. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. But we're
My
giving you a
pleasure.
personal one. But no, we made you a presenter, so it may
Right.
not send you one. But I will make sure that
Yeah, it will.
you do get properly credited. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. Hey, and thank you again. And it's really great seeing the interest that the kids are showing toward technology. And I think that, as Raj said before, they're going to go into other classes next year, and they're going to take that with them, and maybe it'll spread out, and hopefully we'll get a lot more kids and a lot more teachers and everybody interested in using this technology. So with that, we'll say thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody. Hope you have a great week. The weather's supposed to get better, so hope it's a great week, and we hope to see you next week.
Yes. Good night, everyone. Look for the thank you and the survey coming up. Let us know what you're interested in, and have a great week. And hopefully, we'll see you again next Sunday night.